let's talk a little bit about the month of January for Ohio State. Okay. Um, Starts off with this. The end of December was rough. We lose the Cotton Bowl. Our rivals win a national championship. But ever since that night, the momentum has swung back to the state of Ohio in a major way. My question is twofold. Number one, what has been the biggest moment for Ohio State in the month of January? Number one, and number two, what has been your favorite moment for Ohio State in the month of January? JR, I'll start with you. I'm going to go message with Wargo. Go for it.
Oh my goodness, there's been so many. Um, I would say my favorite part. I think the typical answer is like all the guys coming back and stuff like that. But ideally, my favorite part has just been like how meaningless the national championship has been for Michigan. They or the team up north. I apologize. The team up north because they won it. People talked about them for like 2 days, and then Saban retired, and then Jim Harbaugh got right into his, you know, NFL shopping and all that stuff. Because let's be honest, no matter what happens, Ohio State is going to field an excellent team year in and year out. This isn't that team up north where like you're scared about recruiting because sometimes you recruit in the 20s instead of the 10s or something like that. We have an excellent team every single year, but to see, the fans up north get so excited and then just be basically turned into just haters for us because they had nothing else to talk about and they can tweet out their pictures, but nobody cares. Nobody cares because everybody knows it's an irrelevant national championship, and it really doesn't matter. People are talking about Ohio State because Ohio State is Ohio State, and that team up north had one good run where they cheated, and it's over.
This one's for you, JR. Nicholas Quint. Do you think we will see wins vacated or punishment come down to TTUN?
Yeah, so I talked about this. Oh, I don't know how long ago it was. Before I was even a part of the show, when I was just a guest, I think is when I first talked about it. But yes, there is a whole lot going on. The NCAA, from what I have heard, is not happy with the way Michigan has been treating the whole situation. Not necessarily their fans, but Jim Harbaugh saying I'm innocent and them just acting like they are untouchable. They are not happy with that. We have to remember here, folks, that this is a brand new Charlie Baker is brand new to being in charge of the NCAA. We saw what he gave to Florida State for what? A car ride? Maybe two car rides? I mean, that staffer, he is going to have a very, very hard time in the future because of all that he got. And I think that it makes the NCAA, I don't know this for sure, this is my speculation. I think it makes the NCAA even more mad seeing Jim Harbaugh leave and try to scapegoat or try to escape town. And I have no idea why Sharon Moore took that job in Michigan. They're going to lose a ton of scholarships. I know that there is no way they're going to have the same amount of scholarships. I've heard that from an incredible source who told me they are going to lose scholarships. There is going to be some kind of postseason ban. It's not what it will be, it's how long it will be. That's what they're debating right now. And on top of everything else, I don't know if the national championship will be vacated. I know the last two seasons will. We'll see if half of this last season will be vacated just because they can't prove that they were cheating after Connor Stallions was fired. That's the big thing right now. But guys, it was absolutely him on the Central Michigan sideline. That's not the only school he was at doing that. I don't know what the school was, but I was told he has done that before, and the information just didn't leak about it. And so it's going to get bad for Michigan guys. Eric, I know you said that you don't think it'll get vacated. I think it will personally, but that's not from a source. That's just me and my thought process. But I know these last two seasons are not going to be good, and things are not going to look good for Michigan here in the next few years.
Yeah, I could see that getting vacated as well. And the only reason being, I think the argument's going to be that they never would have got there without the cheating. It's not so much that they didn't win the game fair and square in the game, but the way they got there is going to be what costs them.
And that's the hard part is that everybody knows that, but it's about proving it because that's the
Right.
NCAA's biggest thing is they don't want a lawsuit to come out of this to where they say you don't know that for sure. We won our national championship fair and square, and it's like, well, did you get there fair and square though?
But like you said, Jr., it really doesn't matter because everybody outside of Ann Arbor considers it completely irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean,
You
I have
know,
guests on my Big Ten show all the time that are like, yeah, Michigan won. Okay, you
yeah.
know,
So what? Yeah.
like,
I just wish Saban would have like
great,
retired that night.
yeah, that'd been fantastic.
Maybe even at halftime of the game. That would have just been great. You know, but
I would have loved that.
yeah, as far as I go, there's so much. I guess our buddy Jay is going to be excited to hear me say this. There's so much to actually be excited about with what's going on in Columbus. Yes, the eternal pessimist is showing a little optimism here today. Uh, I think maybe the biggest thing for me, like you said, all the guys coming back is huge. But I don't know that anything is been bigger than landing Caleb Downs because that's going to completely revamp what was already a great defense. And I think it's going to put, like we've talked about, Sonny Styles up in that linebacker room. And that's really going to be dynamic, I think. So I really can't wait to see what happens with that.
Yeah, that's interesting, Chris. I actually did a poll on this. I'm going to show the results here in a second. I'm going to upload those and show the results. But look, getting back to Connor Stallions real fast, if I may.
Why not?
Did you guys
Sure.
see where he rolled up to Ohio Stadium a couple weeks ago, placed his national championship ball cap on his dash with some roses, and took a picture of that? Like
That's the kind of stuff I'm referring to that the NCAA is mad about.
Yeah, exactly.
it's so um it's so like elementary and so petty.
Juvenile.
Yes,
Yeah.
juvenile, that I can't help but just be like, gosh, it's almost creepy in a way. In all honesty, it's very very creepy that he would do such a thing. All right, I got the results here. Let me pull these up. So we had 171 people participated. I grabbed this yesterday from Twitter. Jim Harbaugh got 8.8%. That's it. Actually, more people were more like thought hiring Bill O'Brien was bigger deal than Jim Harbaugh leaving as head coach for Michigan. And then, but overwhelmingly, Chris, just like you thought, Caleb Downs, 79.5% of Ohio State fans thought that was the best part of the offseason for Ohio State so far in the month of January. That's impressive that many people think that one guy from the portal. Now, I would think maybe if I would have done the whole collection of guys, Will Howard, the offensive lineman, Will, whatever his name is from Alabama, Will Bama, McLaughlin, or what I think that's what it
Seth
is.
What?
McLaughlin.
Seth
Yeah.
McLaughlin, thank you.
What about landed two of the top four quarterbacks in the country?
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
that's huge.
so, but my point is this: is that Caleb Downs comes with so much gravitas that the fan base is like, he is awesome. He is the man. You go into Alabama and you lead the team in tackles as a true freshman. You are a stud with a capital S. I'm sorry, you just are. Okay, so that's huge. But this month, and I think someone mentioned it earlier, and I want to highlight that too. All of the juniors coming back, the momentum that brought this team, it really started there. And it really started, in my opinion, from what I've been able to gather with Jack Sawyer, basically coming out and going, I'm not leaving like this. And his attitude towards that, I feel really rubbed off on the rest of the team and their decision to come back as well. I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. In my cognizant fandom, I can never remember this many draft eligible juniors deciding to forego the NFL draft and come back to Ohio State. So if you were to ask me what has been the most significant or best part of Ohio State's run here in the month of January to start their offseason, it is to me the NIL collectives getting their act together. I don't know of another program in college football right now that is humming the way Ohio State is in the NIL collective. JR, your thoughts?
There's really not. I mean, Texas A&M is losing Ross Bjork to yours truly, and I know some people weren't excited about that, but the dude can fundraise. I mean, that's really the biggest deal when you can sign the best class in college football history one year, and then a couple years later fire a coach who was like $70 million, buyout. The dude is just flooded with money, and he's coming into Ohio State, and I think he's gonna keep the same tactic there. I think the difference is that we have better people around that money. We don't have people who just say, "Oh, 5-star, let's throw money at him." No, we have an actual scouting department that goes out and looks at these players and says, "You're worth this much money. We will give you this much." And if the player says no, then it's okay. You're not worth more than that. So see ya. We got somebody else to go give the money to, because Ohio State is confident in themselves, and you can tell that from Ted Carter as well. There, I mean, I have never seen a fan base break the NIL's website donating. Never seen it happen.
And did I not see
Happened
that?
twice.
I was gonna say, did I not see that they raised $1 million last week again?
They raised $1 million last week because the NIL board matched whatever the fans gave, and the fans gave $500,000. And then CJ Stroud. I can't say enough good things about CJ Stroud.
Yeah,
So,
right.
yeah, absolutely. You
So
know, and I'm sorry, Eric, but just to touch on that, you'd mentioned the scouting, Jr. As much as I get down on Ryan Day, I will say one thing. Ryan Day has always been not necessarily about are you the right player for the program, but are you the right guy for the program? He really looks, he does, that's one thing I will give him credit for. He really looks at the character of these kids as much as anything. And, just seeing that all kind of roll together, it gives me hope for this year. It really does.
Nick Quint, between the individual players deciding to return or one player saying he's staying and then a domino effect, I think it's more of a domino effect of everyone wanting to play together again. Yes, but let's be realistic. You had to bring some cachet to them
Yeah.
kids.
But
You
does
had
this,
to
go
you
ahead.
had to give them a reason financially to stay. Um, and that's not a bad thing.
No.
Okay, it's not. I know there's so many people right now, like Lane Kiffin. Okay,
Oh, here we go. All right, go ahead, Eric. Finish so I can get on this.
I here we go. Here's your tee. Here's the ball. Okay, it's Lane Kiffin. Here we go, Chris. Batter up. Lane Kiffin whining about Ohio State's NIL when the dude literally is like Raiders of the Last Ark over here raiding the portal wherever he can. He's like the biggest pirate of them all. Like he's literally sitting outside of universities waiting for a kid to jump in the portal so he can grab him up and bring him down there to the Ole Miss. And yet he's crying about Ohio State's NIL, which is doing it legally according to the NCAA rules. Go, Chris. Hammer away.
That's the issue right there. You stated the issue. They're doing it legally. For so many years, the SEC has been the kings of the brown paper bag delivery of cash to players under the table. But now that it's above board and that everybody can do it, you've got Lane Kiffin whining about it. You got Nick Saban running for the hills because he can't keep up with it anymore either. It's ridiculous. They are complaining because everybody is able to do this now. They've lost their competitive advantage, and we've seen what has happened. Guys like Kiffin, who don't have that edge anymore. Guys like Saban, who you look really has kind of lost that shine to Kirby Smart over the last few years. Yeah, I mean, I know he beat him out this year to get in, but it's a different ball game now, Eric, because everybody has that same chance. It's not just the duffel bag deliveries anymore. Everybody has the chance to do it. They're doing it above board, and you know what? Now maybe Tuscaloosa isn't such a big draw anymore because God knows what those kids were doing in Tuscaloosa during their downtime. Let me tell you, because it's not exactly a hotbed of excitement. So these other cities and other schools that were losing out to that illegal money before
Thought
are
you were
taking
done. Sorry.
advantage of it now, and they're okay. I'm done.
Okay.
No, Chris. Get a drink of water. There you go.
Okay. So I think Nick Quint hits the nail on the head right here. Kiffin's upset. His running back left for Ohio State.
Well,
Yeah.
you saw the smear campaign they tried to do on him after he left, right? And then
Go
nobody
fill us
believes
in,
him because everybody says Lane Kiffin, you're a dummy. I mean,
fill us in, JR, in case people didn't know about it. Haven't heard about
well, Lane Kiffin, I forget exactly what Lane Kiffin posted, but he posted something about like being a good teammate or something like that. And then some kind of rumor leaked that Quinshawn Judkins went to Lane Kiffin after one of the last games of the season, one of the 2 or 3 last ones, and basically said like we need to change the offense. And what came out of that rumor was that Quinshawn Judkins was saying like I don't want to be carrying the ball this many times because I would like to play an NFL career. I want to actually have a future in football. Like, thank you for believing in me, but
What's wrong with that?
like, right, exactly. There's nothing wrong with that. And then Jackson Dart, I forget exactly what the video was, but post his little video about how there was like a cancer that was on the team and now he's leaving. And he deleted it because everybody said, "What do you do? You're an idiot." Like, this literally doesn't make any sense. He's the best player on your team and you just lost him because you guys don't know how to take care of your best player. At the time, nobody really knew what it was about, but as things came out, it said you don't know how to take care of your best player with his own personal interests. And yes, it's okay for college football players to have their own personal interests. They do need to be invested in the team, but nobody should blame a guy for saying, "I'd like to have a future in the NFL someday."
Guys, keep talking. I'm working with Wargo here, so JR, it's your show right now.
Well, the other thing we could talk about is Jim Harbaugh leaving, right? And
And
what
how does
is
that make
going
you
to be.
feel, Jr.?
Well, it makes me feel mad because I would like to kick his hairball butt one more time. I don't know, but it's fine. I think he ran away from the sanctions that he knows are coming. Somebody said it earlier. He said, "Oh, Harbaugh said he's innocent, but then he's asking for immunity." Well,
Yeah,
it's because Harbaugh's a liar. I mean, plain and simple, he's lied throughout his career in other areas as well. He lied when he said he wasn't leaving Stanford, and then he went to the 49ers. So he lied when he said he would never look for the NFL again, and then next year and the year after that, he's looking at the NFL again. So he knew that this was his only chance to get out of town, and he's trying to be supportive and Mr. Nice Guy now. But in reality, they're going to get sanctioned, and he's kind of leaving Sharon Moore in a really tough spot. So
yeah. I
you
don't
know,
get Sharon Moore taking that job because even if Sharon Moore was not involved, even if Sharon Moore skates away without sanction, you got Harbaugh gone. Now, rumors are circulating that Mender's going to possibly follow
he is.
Harbaugh to the Chargers.
Yeah, I think they announced that he is going.
They did come out with the announcement. So,
They said he's going to the NFL. I don't know if he's going
yeah, I
to the
mean,
Chargers.
this is a team that's going to be hurt. And how many more guys do you think are going to jump in that portal? Mentor leaving, I think, is going to have a profound impact on the defensive side of the ball as far as the roster goes when that portal reopens. Well, actually, isn't it open right now for them for 30 days because of Harbaugh's leaving?
It is. but I don't think anybody's leaving yet because they want to see what happens with the sanctions. I mean, Sharon Moore was the coach that everybody wanted. At least that's what it sounds like from social media with all the players coming out and supporting him. But that only runs so deep. Like if your team gets sanctioned to death, how many of them are really staying? I'm
You're
not saying
right.
any of them going to OSU. I don't think that's happening. But you really going to stick around if you have no hope of anything but playing 12 games? I don't think so.
Well, and I
Not in the
don't know
portal
what
era.
you've heard, but I've heard anywhere from 2 years to 10 years, possibly as a bowl ban.
Yeah, yeah. It's not will the bowl ban happen. It's how long will it be.
So I mean,
That's
that's just to me. I mean, I can't imagine anybody wanting to stay on a team that cannot compete for a national title for the next X number of years.
I want to answer this one. Would Ohio State take a TTUN player? I hope not.
I have a different opinion on that, Eric.
Okay, let's debate.
Okay,
I, I've
you
got
go
because
first.
I'll okay. One of the reasons why I would be weary of that is I think that they are so, and I know they're if there's any TTU fans and they like to watch the show after the fact and comment and call me names and everything else, and that's fine. Um, I think they are so worried about Ohio State that they would try to literally plant a player. I believe
Hmm.
that. I
I could
honestly,
see that,
you know
and you
Woody
can't put it
Hayes,
above them. You can't put it above them. I mean, and I think that
not,
you've got to
but if we're not doing anything wrong, it wouldn't matter, right? Okay, that's what I'm.
correct,
So,
but
but I'm
but
just
what's to say
saying.
they wouldn't come in and do something wrong with that express purpose? You know, and then the other thing about that whole thing is, I think you have to call into play question the character of some of these players. If you look, when asked about it, J.J. McCarthy basically admitted he knew about the cheating.
Billy
And if
Bob
he did,
brings
you have to imagine other teams, other players did as well.
Billy Bob brings up a good one. They brought Bourne in. They did. Zach Bourne's older brother played it.
Yeah,
Yeah, played it for the team up north. Came to Ohio State. Started a trash company in Columbus. Here we go. You all knew that eventually I was gonna put on the tinfoil hat, guys. Okay, crazy fan theories. You know, this is it. I'm just telling you guys. Like I wouldn't put it past them. I
no,
I
wouldn't.
like I like Nicholas Quinn, who's saying that there are any team up north players that they should try to pick up. You said your thing, and then you said I retract my question.
Go for it,
No,
Jr.
no. Here's my thing, and I totally get what you're saying, Eric. And I think that if you take anybody who doesn't have NFL aspirations, then that could totally happen. But I'm thinking of somebody like Mason Graham or Kenneth Grant who could fill a hole, or even Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland's from Idaho. This dude doesn't care about Michigan. He wants to make it to the NFL and win championships. Why would he have a deep rooted connection to ruin his career for a year, possibly by being a snitch? You know, I see what you're saying about other players, but I couldn't see somebody with NFL aspirations doing that to themselves because Ohio State could easily just kick him off the team and then they don't have any game tape for a year. But the other piece of it is how demoralizing to the team up north would it be if you take their best player? It's essentially their best player saying, "Yeah, this team sucks. I'm gonna go with the other team that I think actually has a chance."
I,
Like,
I can't
right?
do it. I can't do it, Jr. It's to me, it's a slap in the face to the rivalry. It's a slap in the face to culture. You're basically spitting on Woody Hayes' grave if you take a player from Michigan.
But you felt
Come
like
on,
that
the
when the
guy wouldn't even buy
when
gas in
Bourne came.
Michigan. He'd rather push his car across the border.
You felt like that when Bourne came.
You know,
Now, hold on
I
a
didn't, to be
second.
honest. But
Bourne
but Bourne,
Bourne
there's
wasn't nearly as good. Like when you hear the name Bourne, you immediately think of
right,
Zach Bourne,
Zach,
right?
but
Right,
there's
but
That was
Justin was the
Jacoby and
first one.
it was their older brother.
it was
Okay,
Jacoby.
the lineman.
Yeah, that's
Jacoby was the
Jacoby.
younger brother, right? And Justin was the older one.
Justin, you're right. Justin was the
Yeah.
older brother. Justin Bourne. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, to me, there would be so much that you could say to Team Up North fans with like, wow, Mason Graham thinks you guys suck. You know, like he thinks you guys are so bad. He left you in a lurch and he came on over to where he knew the actual contenders, the actual good team is. And then he plays them on the field and then he crushes them. I mean, in my mind, that would just be completely. It's one thing for Caleb Downs to come in and crush them after losing in the playoffs like that, but to have your own player that you rooted for last year, that they have highlights of, come in and destroy them and basically turn his back on the university and say, forget you, I'm going where it actually matters. I don't. To me, there would be something really, really sweet in that. I get where you guys are coming from. That like the fan in me feels kind of icky about it, but I would feel like I just focus so much on the they turn their back on the other team. I don't know what
JR,
I
though, I mean,
was the
I
chat.
feel like these guys are all tainted goods at this point. I feel like there's a risk in bringing anybody from that roster, and I think any coach in the nation should almost consider there is a risk in bringing any player off that roster, any coach off that staff into your team because right now you just don't know what their character is. You don't know what they are or are not capable of. It's with everything going on up there, it's not like there's one little scandal involving one coach. This thing goes all over the place up there. It's multiple scandals, multiple coaches, obviously player knowledge of what's going on. I can't do it. I can't see in good conscience any coach in this country wanting to do that. Now I understand if you're a fledgling program, that's one thing. That might be a where the risk out or the reward outweighs the risk. But to me, I just feel like it is too much of a risk for a program as established as Ohio State to even mess with.
You're not the only one. Personally, I wouldn't take any kid from Michigan. This rivalry has become personal over the last 3 years. I want to beat them and make them suffer. They don't deserve to be a part of the brotherhood. I agree. Chris agrees with you too.
And
I also
it's a slap in the face to Jack Sawyer, who brought all his buddies back along with the NIL, of course, but you know, to come back and finish the job.
And to be clear, I'm not saying I disagree with you guys because I see exactly where you're coming from. I just have this picture in my mind of like Team Up North fans just like completely just falling apart because their beloved defensive tackle, their beloved tight end, who they've done fan interviews with and all of these things, turns on them and says, no, you guys actually suck, and I'm going with the real team. I don't know. I just tell me
Yes,
there would be
I
something sweet
understand,
about that,
Jr.
though, guys, right?
You
Like
want
there
you
would be
want to
something
lick their
sweet
sweet
there.
tears. I understand
what
this.
what it would
Yeah, drink their
say
tears.
what what it would say is that their belief that their culture is so great isn't necessarily what they think it is.
Yeah, that's another thing
Um,
too. Stupid
so
culture.
which is laughable at this point. I understand you've won 3 Big 10 championships in a row. I also understand you won a national championship this year. However, I still believe that there's a huge asterisk next to all of that. I really do. Now, I also can say this, and both things can be true. I do think that they have the best team this year,
Agreed.
especially up front.
Agreed.
The last couple years, their offensive line has been phenomenal. Okay. And so both things can be true at the same time. Yes, you had the best team, but you also had an unfair advantage for the last 3 years. And even though that advantage might have been taken away from you mid-season, you still had a good enough team to go out there and win it on the field. You didn't even need that to begin with this year. So why even put yourself in that situation? But I agree. This is a really good conversation. Um, so
Well,
Brian
to
Oberst brings up a different aspect of that.
Now,
Maybe
see,
you.
that I'm not as opposed to.
Why is that, Chris? Going after their commits in 2025, get them to flip. Why?
Because if they haven't stepped on the field yet, if they haven't been in the locker room and been subjected to the scum culture, then
They're
maybe they're
not
still
tainted.
hopeful. They're not as tainted
There you go.
yet.
Okay. All right. Jr., what do you think, man? Would you do that? You'd do both. I mean, you'd
Oh
just
yeah,
be like,
dude. Anything to make them think twice about their culture and all this stuff, and anything that I can jab at them with, like, oh, you thought Jordan Marshall. Well, I guess he's 2024, but you thought Jordan Marshall loved you. Turns out he just was using you, and he's gonna come to the real good team. I don't know. I just can't stand listening to them for the
Uh,
past 3 years, and anything I can get my hands on to jab back at him, I would love.
Jordan Marshall, he brings up a whole nother thing because you know what? He turned his back on his state to begin with. So you know what? I have no desire to have him back in the league.
Amen, brother.